So yeah, I work for the YouTube Spaces in something called the Creator Lab. I was a YouTube creator working with a small comedy channel, and then we got bought by a company, and then that company got bought by YouTube. And so I'm just like hanging on for the ride. And now we are sort of R&D feeding back from a creator perspective to YouTube and being like, hey guys, I know you've designed this interface, but trust me, a creator's going to want it to be like this and that. And then by the same token, I'll go to creators and be like, check out this cool stuff that's coming down the pipe. And that's what I'm doing now with 360. Basically, you heard about the 20% projects that we have at Google. I was making videos, regular videos for YouTube, and then I'm like, whoa, this 360 thing is cool. I'm just going to make this my 20% project, okay, everybody? And I just start doing it, and then I'm like, 30, 40, 50, and now I'm up to 100, so it's nobody's told me to stop yet. So I'm going to talk a little bit about YouTube 360, YouTube virtual VR video, and also the jump camera that is coming very soon and that we're all very excited about. So those are the two things. Hopefully you all checked out, or some of you checked out, YouTube 360, which was the channel where we're aggregating videos from any creator who's out there creating a 360 video. We see something cool, we'll put it on this channel. And Jump is the camera that Google's been developing, and I've had the cool opportunity to shoot with this a few places around the world. So, but first let's step back and talk about some terms, some things so that you understand over the day. So magic window. How many of you have looked at a video in Magic Window? You are all very mature VR people. What? All those Vive people, but there's only like 2 or 3 Magic Window people? I think you have. You may just not know what it is. Magic Window is when you hold up your phone and you go like this, and it's like 360. How many people have done Magic Window? Okay, I thought so. Okay. So we call it that because it's like there is a sphere of video wrapped around you. It's invisible, and then you have a magic window to see that sphere. And so I don't really think of this as full-on VR because you can still see R. You can still see the world, and you just have the window, and so you're not blocking out the real world. When you put it over your face and you're no longer looking at reality, I feel like that's now VR. But there's a lot of mushiness with the terminology around the industry right now. So that's Magic Window. And then Aaron showed you in his video how on Android, coming soon to iOS, you can watch a YouTube video and you can click or tap the cardboard icon, pops it into cardboard mode. Now, if you have a mono 360 video, and we're going to talk about mono, stereo, again, some confusion here that will hopefully clear up. If you're watching a regular 360 video and then you pop into cardboard mode, what you're seeing is double mono, right? You're seeing the same video twice. And you all understand how stereo works with 3D. Take your finger, everybody do this. Hold out your finger, close one eye. Now close the other eye. Back and forth, do that. Okay, so you're seeing a different thing, a slightly different thing from each eye. Most of you know this already. But your brain sees those two images from a slightly different vantage point and puts them together into like, oh, I understand there's depth. And so when you're doing mono 360, what you're essentially seeing, even in cardboard mode, is the same image for both eyes. And so what you see is not 3D popping out at you, but you're seeing that sphere, but it's a flat sphere, you know what I mean? It's a sphere of video. It's like you're inside a dome. And so you're looking around in cardboard. So most of the content that you see, like on YouTube, when you watch YouTube 360 in cardboard, you're seeing like you're inside a spherical room, and you're seeing a video projected on that sphere. The next step up from that, that we're very excited about and that will be growing, is 3D 360, which means each eye is seeing something slightly offset from the other, which means things pop into depth. And so there's not that dome wrapped around you. Now you feel much more like you're just in that other place because things are coming at you. So that is the next exciting step. So how do we create this? How many of you, I just love these show of hands moments, how many of you have shot 360? Oh man, I am amongst my people. This is great. So this is one way to do it. But this is honestly what we're trying to get away from because extremely large, extremely unwieldy. And one thing that's great, especially for Mono 360, is to have the form factor of your camera be as small as possible because you want it to, ideally, the ideal Mono 360 camera is a single point in space. You know, this is obviously physically impossible, but it's got to be a lot more possible than this. So small cameras are good. Some of my favorite form factor cameras are ones that have only 2 lenses because, and we'll talk about stitching. You all know what stitching is, right? Raise your hand if you know what stitching is. Yes. Raise your hand if you love to stitch. Oh, man. Oh, there's one. Okay, cool. So when you only have 2 lenses, if you think about it, half a sphere, you've got 1 stitch line. That's pretty good. That's as few stitch lines as you could possibly have. So that's pretty great. And there are all kinds of ways of achieving that. Low-end cameras that are really great experimental ways to start, like the Ricoh Theta. There's a lot of GoPro rigs and hacks out there with, this one has modified 2 194 fisheye lenses. And I'm very excited that coming soon are some all-in-one cameras that have the 2 lenses, like Nikon is coming out with one that we're excited about, Ali, and Samsung. I haven't seen a picture of it yet, but I think Samsung is making one as well, all on this 2-lens form factor, which is cool. It's a good way to start. The challenge, as always, is the resolution will be a little lower for these. It's hard to get a 4K image with some of these cameras. I mean, we're moving towards that, but that is a challenge. You can get more resolution if you have more lenses, because essentially you've got more cameras in there. And here are some of the, everybody has been hacking GoPros, sticking them together in every which way. Gyroptics coming out soon. Bubble Cam is out. The Bounce Imaging Explorer is a camera that's like a rubber ball, and this is for the SWAT team to throw into the drug den before they charge in, so that they can all see who's in there before they go in and kill them or whatever. So then. And then Sphericam is here today, and we're very excited about them because they have a camera that has very small form factor and will do a real-time output stitched. So that's amazing. We're very excited about that. Excited to hear from you guys, Sphericam. So stitching. Oh, well, it doesn't really work here because of the television, but you can see here, that's a stitch. So we don't want that. And the challenge with the large cameras, why you want a small one, is the further apart the lenses are, the worse the stitch is. So this here, that's why on my little hack-together GoPro rig, I've got green tape here for ooh, that's a good stitch, and ooh, that's a bad stitch. But this is the kind of, it's the Wild West right now. Everybody's just kind of cobbling things together, which is fun, which is very fun. So some cameras with the 2, like for instance, this came off of the Ricoh Theta. It'll spit out a single piece of video that has the information from the 2 lenses on it, and then the Ricoh Theta stitches it automatically inside the camera, well, inside their app, and so you get something that looks like this. Now, how many have seen pictures that look like this before? Do you understand what you're seeing here? Some of you do. Okay, I'll go into it a little bit. So what this basically is, it's like a Mercator projection, sort of Mercator. It's an equirectangular projection. And so you've all seen maps of the world that looks like this. And of course, we know that Antarctica is not really shaped like that. And the very bottom edge, the pixel at the bottom, this is 1 pixel all the way across the bottom and 1 all the way across the top. And so this is a way of translating a sphere into a rectangle, and that's easy because all our video formats are rectangular. So when you shoot 360 footage and you stitch it together, what you get is footage that looks like this. And somebody runs off one side and they run back on the other side. And there is 0 distortion right at the equator, and there is infinite or maximum distortion at the North Pole and the South Pole. And so over the course of today, various people will be throwing up images, and I think they kind of look cool on their own, but this is what you're seeing is a sphere flattened out into a rectangle. when you start getting into stereo, which is the next step up, which is the 3D 360, then this is what your video footage looks like. Now, usually it starts as a square, and then for YouTube, because currently YouTube, the way to upload with maximum resolution is 4K, so that's 2160 by 3840, which is a 16:9 aspect ratio. So when you upload YouTube stereo, you want to stretch it, because why would you upload just the square and then have all these extra pixels that you could be using? You want all the resolution you can get. YouTube knows how to, when you upload this, to untangle the stretch and put it back into basically two spheres, one for each eye. And I might be, let me know if I'm getting too far down into the technical weeds for you, but this is what stereo footage looks like when it's stretched for YouTube in the left eye and the right eye. This is some footage that I shot where they sent me out into the field to the Republic of Congo and the rainforests, and we got I'm very proud of the footage of gorillas. And we set up the camera, and the gorillas come up sort of like, what is that spaceship that's landed in our backyard? And they're looking right up close into the camera. It's got these blinking lights. And so the footage comes out looking like the gorilla is looking right into your eyes, which I'm like, what's he thinking? But I hope you all get a chance to see it. It's on YouTube, YouTube 360. So now let's talk for just another minute about stereo and about what we're up against with stereo and what we think makes jump so special. So this is the way to hack together a 3D 360 rig, say with GoPros or any other camera. And this is a common way to do it, which is that you like, okay, shooting a 3D movie back in the day, you know what that looks like. Two cameras side by side, right? The same distance apart as your eyes. Or maybe they would have one here and shoot through a prism. But basically what you're doing is having two views side by side. And so to do a sphere in 360 3D, there's a challenge. You can't just have two cameras, because if the two cameras are here and they start looking this way, suddenly this camera is seeing the back of that camera. You know what I mean? It's not as simple as just having the cameras, just a single camera. You can't have two cameras side by side because everything's in the shot. So what you need is a ring like this. And what they've got here, 360 Heroes, has right eye, left eye, right eye, left eye, right eye, left eye. Have I got my directions right? Yeah. Right eye, left eye, all the way around. And so what you essentially have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 3D movies wrapped around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The problem is that when you're thinking about stitching them together, so I'm going to stitch the right to the right to the right to the right to the right, that means this camera has to stitch to that one, because you've got to skip, because you can't have them closer together because you need this distance to get stereo. So what's going to happen? What did I say about the form factor of the camera? What should it be? Small, close together. Remember, the two lenses that are further apart, that's a harsh stitch. So these, by 360 standards, these are really far apart, which means that what you have is a 3D movie that looks good, and then a bad stitch, and then another 3D movie, and then a bad stitch all the way around. That is a challenge. Stereo is hard. The other thing they've got is a camera on top, and you can't have, you'd think, oh, shouldn't you have two cameras on top? Because then, you look up and it's like, oh, 3D up there too. Here's the problem. 3D up here, right eye, left eye. Ooh, 360, I'm going to turn around. Oh, my eyes are backwards. So a lot of times what they will have is a single view up top. And we do have that coming for the next generation of jump. But I'll tell you about the assembler and you'll understand why. So that's the challenge of the sort of hacked together version of 3D 360. So we're solving that. And the way we do it, here you might think, well, it looks the same. It's right eye, left eye. But it's different. These are not pairs. They're not treated as pairs. What they're doing is just gathering data from all around. And we are not dividing them and saying, well, you're only right and you're only left and so on, and you're not stitching to this. What we're doing is we take those 16 files, and it's still this process of like 1, 2, 3, use the little SD cards, don't drop them, be careful. But you take all that and you upload it to our cloud, to the assembler, what we call the jump assembler. And what that does is computationally interpolate thousands of virtual camera positions between each of the actual camera positions. And so it is just gathering data about the whole world, computing the stereo. That's all happening in post. It's not optical stereo, it's computational stereo. And that means there's no seams. There's no ugly stitch lines between one view and the next. Now, it'll like say you upload all your footage, it'll come back, say, the next day. If you upload it someplace like a YouTube space, which is where they'll be in part. And there are hundreds of computers that have chewed on your footage overnight. So it's the kind of thing, thank you, it's the kind of thing that only Google can do, or people who have thousands of computers at their disposal. So the benefits, fast uploads if you upload from the YouTube space, no stitch lines. And the cameras, importantly, can leave the YouTube space. We also have an early access program where we're working with some proven vendors and companies who are purchasing the camera directly from GoPro, and we'll be working with them. But the thing that we're most excited about is that YouTube creators will be able to check these out the way they would any other camera from the YouTube space. And the cameras can leave the space. That's the thing about VR, is we don't want all of our jump videos to be of the inside of the studio. And so you get out in the field with it. And here's me out in the field, setting up the camera and watching the magic happen.